Yo, 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 happy Monday. What is up, Zinger Nation? My name is Logan Ross, and this is the Moon or Bust Show, your home for all things altcoins and DeFi. I am joined today by my two wonderful co-hosts, Brian Moir, the DeFi developer. How you doing today, Brian?
What's happening?
I'm doing great. Hey, I never shouted out that poster. You made that, right?
This guy?
Yes, that's the one.
This guy right here?
It's a beauty.
Glad you like it.
Yeah, and we also have Mr. Negative 17 cents in the ByBit, Liquidation Nation, Ryan McNamara. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing better than your ByBit, that's for sure.
That's true. I miss my Ethereum.
What's that, Brian?
I need to just...
shit. We need to hear that story sometime.
Yeah, I mean, it goes how everything goes on ByBit. I put in an Ethereum, try and get 10, lose it. Put in another Ethereum, try and get 10, lose it, until you just give up.
Gotcha.
Until you're left with nothing but negative 17 cents. So let's before we get into the topics, let's start off the day with a chat question. Will Matic go up? Probably, yeah. And
yes.
That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
I'd say so too.
Awesome. Okay, so we have some really great stuff for you today. We're going to talk about China cracking down on Bitcoin mining. We're going to talk about the death cross. We're going to talk about Ripple and their ongoing legal situation. We're going to talk about flash loans and how they've been exploited to steal money. And we have an interview with Poisonous Pinups team. We're going to be talking about Dogecoin. It's going to be great. So make sure to stay tuned till the end for that. And if you are new to Benzinga, new to Zinger Nation, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Benzinga is the home of all things for the individual investor, trying to empower the individual investor, the retail investor. We are not the suits, we are the t-shirts and the sweatpants. So welcome to Zinger Nation. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the China crackdown. So if you guys haven't been following the news, basically what's been happening is that China is trying to crack down on Bitcoin mining, banning Bitcoin from many of the provinces, banning mining operations from many of the provinces, and also not allowing their Chinese-based businesses to interact with cryptocurrencies. In my opinion, they're really shooting themselves in the foot by doing this. You know, if they want to embrace the future, they should be regulating it instead of banning it. But they're scared. They want to protect their own interests in their own cryptocurrency, their own national cryptocurrency, the digital yuan. And so, you know, I really think that they're gonna end up having to take this back, and it's gonna hurt them in the long term. Let me show you a couple things. I'm gonna have to add my screen real quick. All right, so we have the Bitcoin hash rate here. So this is the total mining power on the Bitcoin network. And you could see towards the beginning of May, there were about 171 exahashes on the network. And now there are around 91. A lot of this has been coming from the Chinese shutdowns, and it's almost 50% down from the all-time high. So what do you guys make of this situation, Ryan? Do you think China is making the right decision here?
I don't think they're making the right decision here, but I do have a hot take. I think this is actually going to be good for Bitcoin in the long term.
Really?
I think one of the big things with the FUD around Bitcoin is that it's bad for the environment, right? And even though about 30 to 40% of the network is powered by renewables right now, almost none of that is from China, because China has dirt cheap electricity. So they're just using up all this electricity that's bad for the environment. And without this mining being available in China, I think that other countries that use more renewable energy will probably start mining Bitcoin and make it a lot cleaner network. And therefore, hopefully Tesla could start accepting it again. And hopefully that FUD around Bitcoin being bad for the environment will soon go away.
I like that take. That makes sense to me. Brian, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with Ryan. I know he's dove in a little deeper into all this. I haven't really paid much attention to it all. I mean, I think it's affected the price of Bitcoin. I think that it's opened up a lot of doors, and I think it's done a lot of stuff for the community and Bitcoin itself to try to find ways around this situation. I also like the sense that of the Project Chia that came out of it, which is kind of what trying to take on Bitcoin, but still using that electricity by doing it through hard drives and stuff like that, but finding a better way to do it, I think it's pretty cool. I'm just going to go with pretty much what Ryan says because I agree with it. I think he's pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm. So we have a commenter, WK Harris says, Texas and Tennessee are welcoming these Bitcoin miners with open arms, probably due to the cheap power. There's another tweet I want to show you. There's 6,600 pounds. A huge mining operation is being airlifted to Maryland. It's not sure. I'm not sure whether Maryland is the final destination or just a stopover, like an import place. But yeah, I know that Texas and Tennessee are attracting a lot of people with their
Go Vols.
Cheap electricity. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to point out is a bottom signal. Jim Cramer has almost sold all of his Bitcoin, fearing China. This could be a bottom indicator, in my opinion. This guy doesn't really know what he's talking about when it comes to crypto, and so him panic selling is there's a lot smarter investors buying it right from him. So just wanted to show you guys that meme, and yeah, it's spreading to more and more provinces in China. But yeah,
something else I saw about this is, Bitcoin mining is very centralized in China with these huge operations. So some people are saying that, Bitcoin's going to become more decentralized now that China's cracking down on this, since, the most centralized mining operations are located in China.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I read a stat that said something like 70% of all Bitcoin mining power comes from China. So you make a good point, Ryan. It is pretty centralized there. It might be good to see it spread out. Okie dokie. That's all I have on the China situation. You guys have anything you want to add, or should we go on to the death cross?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Sounds good. Ryan, do you want to throw your screen onto the stream?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, cool. So we're
screen on the stream.
It's a tongue twister. So just to preface this, a Bitcoin death cross is when the 200-day moving average falls below the 50-day moving average. So that means that the previous 50 days, if we look back 50 days, we were about at the same prices that we are now. We'll wait for Ryan to pull up the chart. But
sure. Can you see it yet?
No.
Let me add it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So yeah, like Logan was saying, the death cross is when the 50-day moving average crosses the 200-day moving average. So in a bull market, usually the 200-day moving average is lower than the 50-day moving average, just because it has more catching up to do, right? Because this is all just based on past prices. So now that Bitcoin's came down into this range, you can see that the 50-day and 200-day have indeed crossed. So right here, we have our death cross. Not too much has happened just yet. A lot of people are talking about it. Something may happen. I personally don't trade on the death cross. I don't really trade on any technical indicators. We'll get into these lines here. This is called Elliott wave theory. That's the one thing I do trade on sometimes. And then these lines we drew out in one of the previous episodes, and we marked this as a potential point of resistance, which so far it has been. It came right up to it, and now it's gone down. My personal stance on Bitcoin is we're probably going to trade within this range. That being said, I mean, you can speculate in any different way. It could go down, and actually Elliott wave theory says that we could be seeing a fifth leg down. So what Elliott wave theory is, it's based on the psychology of the markets, and there's 3 impulsive waves and 2 correction waves within each total wave within Elliott wave theory. So you can see this play out a lot. I'll actually go back. I drew a couple instances here on the chart of it. It's really good for macro trends, but you can also find them on shorter time frames as well. So going back to the bull market in 2017, we can see we had our first impulse wave up where we got to right around 4,800, a corrective wave down where we went down to around 3,600 or so, and then another impulsive wave up, and then another corrective wave down. And something about the corrective waves down, they never go past the previous impulsive wave up. And if it does, then this trading indicator doesn't usually work as well. As you can see here, it didn't go below. As you can see here, it didn't go below. And then we had our 5th impulse wave up. So a lot of times, Bitcoin will go in these waves of 5, 3 impulsive waves, 2 corrective waves. We saw it play out in the last bull market really clearly. And then we saw this in a little bit smaller bull market, if you want to call it a bull market. Some people just call it a fake out in 2019, where we went up to 13,000. But you can see here we were pretty flat right around 3,500. And then when we saw our first impulse wave up with a correction down, and then we saw our second impulse wave up with another correction down that didn't go below the previous peak. And then we had our last wave up before we corrected. So now going to where we are now, we have had 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 2 corrective waves. And now we're on our way down. So this works both going up and going down. And as you can see from the top, we've had 1, 2, 3, and then you could say this is the 4th corrective wave up, and now we're having an impulse wave down. So I could potentially see Bitcoin going down to maybe 25, 26,000, although I don't think that's the most likely scenario. Like I said, personally, I think that we're going to be trading within this range, and hopefully eventually we'll see a breakout and hopefully another one of these 5 wave subsets going up. And on the macro scale, hopefully this is the first impulse wave. This is going to be the second corrective wave. Then hopefully a third impulse wave, maybe up to $80,000 before another corrective wave down. And then our 5th impulse wave bringing us above $100,000. That's personally how I see the market. Brian or Logan, do you guys have any takes on this?
One thing that I did see, I saw an article earlier today that usually a death cross indicates a going into a bear market. But another viewpoint on it is saying that the price is almost kind of baked in to before, like right before the death cross hits, because everyone's anticipating it. And it could actually mean some forward momentum, because it'll kind of bounce off that, where you were just saying, off that resistance. So, we talked about how Bitcoin, I think our level the last time we talked about, maybe a month ago or a couple weeks ago, was right below 29, like right in that area. And I think that we might see that, and that's where we could see a bounce. But we could also go, all the way to 20 and then have something. I mean, obviously Bitcoin's not going to die, but there's a lot of stuff that's like going on in the whole crypto sphere that can be, that might be able to push it up, or this China thing might be, drag it down even further. I think that the China thing does have an impact on the price, a pretty significant one. And I don't think that the death cross has as much as an impact as that does. So I think whenever one of them blows over, we're going to see that bounce back into hopefully all new highs, or we can go sideways like we did talk about. I'm hoping that we can see we go into a bull run or continue the bull run instead of a bear market. But, it's again, very speculative, but we'll just have to kind of wait it out and see.
Definitely.
Yeah, all good points. And something I want to point out just really fast is here's another death cross. And this was one of the more significant death crosses that we've had in recent history. And the price actually pumped up above it before going back down. You can see a few of these, and like they don't really always say that much, right? Here's another one. Nothing really happened. I mean, to me, this doesn't look like anything happened after it definitively. So you can use it if you want to trade. I don't personally, just because I don't think there's strong enough indication that it actually moves the price, kind of like Brian said.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just another piece of FUD that's going into the market right now. This is a really speculative industry, speculative market. So price trades very heavily off of recent news. And anything with death in the name probably isn't going to be too good for the price in the short term. So yeah, I'm agreeing with these guys. I'm not sure whether it's the bottom is in or not. I'm leaning towards no at this point. I think it could definitely go continue to go lower for the next month or two, or just go sideways. But either way, I think there needs to be some consolidation time before the market cycle can continue. And yeah, a lot of people are saying that this might mean that the bull run is over. I disagree completely. I mean, obviously we are in a short-term bear market right now. But if you look at the 3 previous market cycles, this is something that Benjamin Cowan points out very frequently. See Ryan's shirt right there, Benjamin Cowan gang, what's up? But so if you look at the 3 previous cycles, there's a clear continuing trend of diminishing ROI and lengthening cycles. So the first cycle had obviously the most ROI potential and was the shortest. The second one had a smaller ROI, took longer. Third one continued that trend. And right now we are on pace with the third one, this being the fourth. So if we want to, see that trend continue, we are going to need some time to consolidate. But yeah, I'm looking very bullish for the first half of 2022. Is probably when I'll be taking the majority of my profits. But yeah, I have not seen a good argument that this market cycle is over. This bull market is over. That is my take on it. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. We got lots of comments going on about this. Let's see. So, OK Chaz says it's the worst Head and Shoulders that they have ever seen. I think that's, I don't know. Ryan, you're the technical guy. Do you have any thoughts on that?
The worst Head and Shoulders. Let me see. So I'm assuming he's talking about just the macro trend from 2021, from like the first 6 months. Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of see it, but like you can draw Head and Shoulders wherever you want. Head and Shoulders is something to wash your hair with, not something to trade on. That's what I like to say. So, I mean, trade on it if you want, but I mean, I don't. So I'm not going to speak any more on that.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, do you have any other thoughts?
No, not really. I kind of laid it out. What I thought. I think that I think it is a lot more possible that we hit that between 28 and 29 before we see a bounce up.
Yeah.
But I think with that support, I think with that being the resistance and support, with that being the support, I don't think we're going to go very far below it. I think once we hit in that range, I mean, that's kind of a little bit wider range, but not with Bitcoin. But I think then that's when we're going to see a turn, because that's when all the big investors, all the big companies, all the big corporations, that is, I think, where if I were to do it, I would put all my money whenever it hits right below 30 and then just, then let it sit and ride. If it goes to 25, okay, that's not a bad deal. But it's not going to, it's not going to crash back down to 10. It's not going to go really that much farther past 29, in my opinion. But that's when I think we'll see a lot more volume go into actually go into Bitcoin.
For sure. And I heard that Dennis in the pre-market prep show called around 18K as the midterm bottom. I'm a little bit more bullish than that. I think I'd probably be around the 20 to 25 level. But either way, yeah, I'm holding off on my accumulation for now until the prices are a little bit lower. So that's my plan. That's the move on the death cross. It's really not the end of the world. This market cycle is still in full effect, in my professional opinion. Okie dokie. So let's move on. Next up, we have Ripple. Brian?
So Ripple, the SEC versus Ripple case, that whole suit that they have against, the SEC has against Ripple was extended to 2022. Which just kind of puts it into a more, you just got to wait even longer for this thing to go away, because you still can't trade XRP in America unless you're using a DEX or using an exchange that doesn't do KYC. Mm-hmm. And so you can still get it like on places like KuCoin, or, well, I'll just use that one. But it's kind of a pretty interesting happenstance, because back in 2017, when all of the ICOs started booming, there was a huge ICO bubble with crypto. Everybody had a blockchain, or everyone had a coin, did initial token or coin offerings, and then the SEC started shutting that stuff down. They started making sure that if it's going to be a security and not a utility token, but a security, and it's part of your investment, and if you buy the token or buy the coin, that means that you are investing in the future of the company, and you own part of the company like a stock. And so the SEC really put a stop to all that, because people were making, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, but people are making all this crazy amount of money and then doing rug pulls and just taking all the money, and then there's not much anyone can do about it. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to make sure that everyone was it was semi-regulated. And what Ripple did was they offered, let me see if I can get the exact numbers really quick. So they offered about 1.3 billion unregistered securities, which that means they pulled that in and offered the token out. And the SEC and Ripple is saying that it was not a security, it wasn't an investment, but it was a it was kind of in this gray area that it wasn't necessarily a coin can't be a security at the time, so it was in this gray area. So it's been a very long legal battle between the two, and now it's just even prolonged even longer or even more. And it's just kind of, you just want it to be over with. Either make a decision or let us trade it. You know, they have all this money in limbo too that's just kind of stuck. And so we just want it. I just want it over because I see a lot of potential with Ripple, and it's one of the older ones and has a pretty cool tokenomics. So I want it to be over personally.
That's definitely interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if they are a security or not. I definitely think they're a lot closer to a security than Bitcoin or Ethereum is.
Yeah.
I mean, those are pretty clear commodities. It's going to be interesting, though, to see whether or not the court says if they're a security, because if they are, I mean, that's going to be pretty bearish on the token. People are still holding it in the US. They don't have access to it. But if the US if US investors aren't going to be able to invest in it any longer, if it is a security, then I don't see much of a point in these people holding it.
Yeah. I mean, if one of us were to look at it where we're not, you know, we're not professionals, we're not in the sense of we don't know, we don't work for the SEC, we're not lawyers, we don't really understand this. But me saying that, I mean, it does kind of look like a security. They were just, the SEC just used them as an example not to do this. But it's such a gray area like it is right now that it's hard to prove whether it is or not, because it was a coin, it's new, it's all, so it's very interesting. I mean, it pretty much is a security the way they had it all laid out, but they did win a few battles earlier this year and last year that make it seem like they're going to soon get out of this. They'll probably have to pay some money or something will happen, but it looks like it might go not necessarily completely in the SEC's favor, but, you know, Ripple will still be around and hopefully be in America. But in the UK and other countries, it's not really affecting them that much, you know, business-wise. Yeah.
Sweet. We are running low on time. We got to get to this interview. Do you guys want to skip flash loans till next week, or want to cover them really quickly? Or till next show on Wednesday?
You can probably hold it off for the next show.
Okay.
We've done it a few times, so yeah.
Sounds good. Then, without further ado, it is time for today's interview. We are talking to Jeff from Poisonous Pinups. How you doing today, Jeff? Welcome.
What's up?
Not too much. You've been following the markets lately?
Yeah, and I was listening to what you guys were saying, and obviously the last thing was XRP, and you guys have heard of OneCoin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a whole issue.
Portfolio and
yeah, and they were called it's hilarious because they were called the Bitcoin killer. And then, of course, you have another token out now that's called the Dogecoin killer. It's like history kind of just repeats itself.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the SEC is, they did use XRP. I agree as an example. I really think that they're really looking into things more than we know. We don't work for them. So, yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Awesome. Well, welcome to the stream. Could you tell us about Poisonous Pinups, your company, what you do for them, and your background in crypto?
I'm the head editor for Poisonous Pinups magazine, Poisonous Pinups LLC. And currently, right now, we produce 5 magazines. So it's Poisonous Pinups, Poisonous Punks, Poisonous Alt, Poisonous Cosplays. And then we're running a new magazine, which is called Fandables. It's basically going to be about crypto, collectibles, toys, comics, all that stuff. So that's something new we're working on. And I myself personally got involved in crypto probably around the beginning of the year. I got involved in investing a few years ago, but crypto I got into about a year ago and brought it into the company so that we could take crypto as a form of payment, mostly specifically because of Doge. So it was Dogecoin that did that for me.
Awesome. Well,
So you guys accept Dogecoin?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we've been accepting Dogecoin since the beginning of March. So long before Cuban, long before all that, we were like, I want to take it. How do I do it? I found the way to do it, did it. And now basically, I host spaces. So people come to me a lot for stuff. I'm with a bunch of the other people that are helping spearhead the Doge movement. And I will constantly tell people like, this is how you do it. I'll give you people to go to, so you can start taking Doge. And I've already gotten a bunch of merchants signed up. So it's really cool.
That's sweet. So when people pay you in Doge, do you keep that Doge on your balance sheet or do you convert it into something else?
No, and actually I use coinpayments.net. They actually give you your own merchant wallet. So it sits in there. There's really nothing you can do with it unless you transfer it out. So it is in there. It's in the balance sheet. It stays. You could transfer in or transfer out, but that's pretty much it. I try to recommend that to everybody instead of BitPay because there's no conversion directly into fiat. It keeps the coin circulating. It keeps it set. So I know I always like to say, you got to hold, you got to spend, and you got to do only good every day. So it's like you use some for donations too. So you kind of do a little bit of everything, but holding is part of the reason why a price rises. You know what I mean? You gotta, some people gotta hold. You can't just always sell it. So yeah.
Sweet.
So what makes you so bullish on Dogecoin's future?
I've been bullish on it since the beginning. Obviously, I got in way early, not as early as a lot of other people. I got in I think just the end of February. So again, like when you were showing the Bitcoin chart, you can see that Doge, when its initial spike happened, it hasn't gone down to that much, which is 9 cents. Mm-hmm. So we sat for a while at 9 and then boom, it shot up. So now we're at 20. So, it has a huge utility behind it. It has a powerful utility. It has a powerful speed. Mm-hmm. It's the impact on the environment for mining is not as much as Bitcoin. So there's a lot of good things about it. It's had a lot of updates. There's a current update now, it just passed, is the 1.14.4. So Dogecoin, I think, has gone through about 158 changes or upgrades. And I think this one itself sets the fees lower. So now the fees will be even lower for Doge, which were already really low. So in the speed, like I said, guys, is fast. I can literally stand in front of you at a convention. You say, hey, you take Dogecoin? I say, yeah, what you got? What you want? You say, I want a shirt. Boom. I could literally do it on my phone. You scan the QR code in, and it's within my wallet in under a minute through my store transactions.
Yeah, that's definitely really beneficial for quick payments, for peer-to-peer payments. Dogecoin is definitely the way to go over Bitcoin for small purchases because the transaction fees are smaller. It will not price out so many people. But there's also the side of it is like, why is it cheaper? Because they have a smaller block size, a larger block size, which leads to more centralization. So is that something that concerns you? How do you weigh those two those trade-offs?
Well, I know their block time's a minute, and I know the size will increase eventually, and obviously my whole thing is developers are constantly working, right? So if you've seen that we've gone through 158 developments in the coin since its inception, then you know that as something increases, whether it's the block size or whatever it is, there's going to be something that will be developed that will allow for that. It's just like with the whole inflationary thing, because it doesn't, oh God, Dogecoin isn't capped. So, it's no good. No, that's not how it works. It's actually set up to deflate as it goes through time. So per year, it goes down.
It actually doesn't anymore. It did that from the beginning, but it stopped cutting its payout reward.
Was that worked into a development or?
No, the original. The amount of Doge that was printed and issued to the miners would have, I think it was, every so often until it reached this bottom level that was set by the developers, which was reached a long time ago. So now
I thought that was removed by Jackson.
When would that have been?
I'm pretty sure that happened probably about just before he left the project. I mean, I don't know for sure. I've looked up most of the information, but I could have swore that he removed that. It's possible, it may not. I don't know for sure. You have to look into it further.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Jeff, do you know when the happenings happen? Like, is it every 4 years like Bitcoin, or is it like every 1 year? Or
it was supposed to be every year. And as far as I knew, as far as Billy Marcus is concerned, which is the co-creator, and he's still involved in the community. From what I heard, is the way he described it was he still describes it as being the inflationary deflationary, where it's a weird term, but it's how it works. So I had assumed that it was still doing that. I mean, Logan says it's not. It may be true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely a lot of coins that are inflationary that can be deflationary. So, like, for example, Ethereum could be deflationary once EIP 1559 comes out, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it depends a lot on the network, and I'm not sure if that's the same with Doge. But I know, like, you can have inflation, but still possible deflation because new coins are minted, but then coins could also be burned. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're talking about, or if it's more just halvening of the rewards, or what it exactly is. I haven't really looked into the technicals there. Personally, I don't really feel like the technicals on Doge are as important as the utility which comes from its users, right? So, like, looking at other cryptocurrencies, there are definitely a lot of other cryptos that are more advanced than Doge in almost every other way, right? There's smart contracts on a lot of cryptocurrencies that Doge doesn't have, which isn't really its niche, so it's not too important. But there are other cryptocurrencies that are cheaper. There are other cryptocurrencies that are faster. What I think is most important about Doge is the user base behind it, because it has the most users out of any of these payment technologies. So I could see like a place for Doge for payments just because of the huge user base it has, and because it's merge mined with Litecoin, so it has a bigger network than a lot of its competitors.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously it was set up where the way it was set up, it can't have smart contracts, but it can be wrapped. So, you know what I mean? If it's wrapped with Ethereum or whatever it be, but you're right. I think that the outlining factor is that there's so many people using it, and every day as new merchants will begin to start to take it, it sets up a whole chain reaction where it's constantly circulating. Whether it's converted to fiat or not, it's just going to be bought back eventually, and again, that whole thing is when you say if they could be burned, which obviously I think in the past there was something called Doge Party or something where there was a bunch of coins burned. They're sitting in a wallet, untouchable. So, but I know that if they're lost, this was set up. I think some of that was set up in case some Doge was lost or whatever to factor that into the amount of coins in circulation. Plus, again, if more merchants take it and more people are spending it, you got to have more coins. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, if it's going to be spent all across the world, right? You have to have enough coins for people to have. Now, Bitcoin is accepted in, El Salvador and wherever. Not to talk bad about Bitcoin. I don't have any more. I got rid of mine. But, I still believe obviously it's the granddaddy coin. So it's the original. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bitcoin, but the issue is there's only so many. And as it rises in price, it's harder for people to get a hold of it to use. And yes, there's Satoshis. I've been in arguments with people about they got the Satoshi and they got the Satoshi wallet and they got this. Okay, I get it. So that's fine. But majority wants to keep it as an investment, which is great. And I see Dogecoin as a currency. My whole thing is always Bitcoin is gold, Ethereum silver, and Dogecoin is a currency. I would call it like USD times 2. Like it's being a currency that you can use to spend on things you want, goods at that time. This is what it's worth.
Okay, so let me just jump in here for a second. I did some more research. I found the answer. So Dogecoin halvings happened every 100,000 blocks, splitting the reward approximately every 69 days. But that stopped with the 10K Doge reward, which was reached in 2015. So the reward has been 10K per block since 2015. It is no longer halving, which means that it will be, it's predictable inflation. It will continue to permanently inflate. So something I want to talk about is, why do you think that Satoshis, why do you think that a capped supply is not as good as an uncapped supply? Because if you want it as an investment, then wouldn't you want it to, keep its value?
So if you want it as an investment, you'd want it to be capped. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so but you don't.
Be inflated.
So yeah, you're asking the wrong guy for that one, because I'm a merchant and I want people to spend it. So I'm going to want it uncapped, which is what Doge is. Doge is meant to be uncapped so that people, like I said, can spend it. And obviously you found the information, which is cool. And I just think that uncapped allows a greater circulation across the world for it to be used as a currency. Now, you know, not to say, I'm not saying I don't want Dogecoin to go to $50,000 for one coin, or I don't, or I do. You know, I'm saying that it's eventually going to be set up where people can spend it. It'll reach a stable amount, whether it's stable and climbing to a certain amount over a long period of time. That's fine too. You know what I mean? It's going to be able to be used. And that's what I think, you know, some people have it some people hold it, some people have it as an investment, and some people spend it, and some people use it for donations and tipping. So it's good for all of it. You know, that's what I'm saying. It's not just meant for one thing. It's meant for many things. And as you guys know, if you did your research, you know that it was created because of that point, because Bitcoin had already passed its point where it could be used like that. It just kind of got away from itself. And then a bunch of other coins came around and were like, we're going to be the next Bitcoin. And Doge came out as like a, you know, and people say lighthearted. Some people say it came out as a joke. Yeah, it was created as a joke. Billy Marcus says that, you know, people say it was created as a joke. And, you know, now the way it's being used, that's not the case. It's still fun. So I consider it fun and lighthearted and a currency and something for the community to gather around. That's basically how I see it.
Yeah, I love it as that, and the community loves it as that, and whatever it takes to get people into crypto, I think is great for the future.
But it's hard to get the big merchants involved, you know, like Amazon and some of the bigger ones, because of that fact. But you know what? It's like, you know, step away from your suit and tie board meetings and just look at the heart of it and understand that you do eventually have to go past what you see. Like if you see it a certain way, you know what I mean? You're always going to see it that way, and that's your loss. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of these bigger companies need to actually look at the bigger picture. And this is the point where I said I wanted to come on and say, you know, you got a lot of FUD out there. There's tons of FUD about like it hasn't been upgraded, you know, it has no utility, and they just keep going with the same stuff over and over. It was listed on Coinbase and it didn't do well after that. Like, who cares? That wasn't the point. Like, it got on Coinbase and it was just really hodgepodgey the way it was put on there too. There was a lot of weird stuff. So not conspiracy theories, but, you know, obviously it was rushed into things. And I think, you know, people had already bought before that and they just transferred their stuff to Coinbase and are going to use it later. But again, the FUD on the major news sites is what keeps major corporations from looking at it as like, hey, this could actually be used as something, and it is a currency and people are using it as a currency. That's how they need to see it. And the more people get out there and explain that, the better it is for Dogecoin and for the community.
So compared to other currencies like Stellar Lumens that has lower transaction times and fees, why would you pick Dogecoin?
What is Stellar Lumens transaction time?
I don't know. It's really fast.
It's like under 10 seconds. Yeah.
Under 10 seconds. That's quick.
Yeah.
And obviously Doge is a little more than that. I guess it depends on what Stellar Lumen was set up for.
For payments.
Yeah. So payments for, and which companies are using it?
So XLM was made for not only peer-to-peer. That's like the very end of their product. It's made for global payments from companies, banks, businesses, merchants, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty much, I mean, it's a little like a Doge in that sense. They have, it's a little bit different, but they also, I mean, they don't do a proof of work. So that's why they're so much faster, but that's a whole, that doesn't really matter too much on what protocol it is, but they're just a payment.
It depends on what you like. I mean, what you want to use, as a payment. And obviously there's nothing wrong with having 20 bags of 20 different cryptos that you use. You could use Stellar, you could use Doge, you could use Satoshis, you could use a numerous amount of payments on the day that you feel like using whatever you want to use. Like, hey, today I'm going to use Satoshi to buy a coffee, or today I'm going to use Dogecoin to buy a coffee. You know what I mean? Like, you can use whatever you want, and you can have multiple bags set up to do that, depending on how you feel, how the price is going, or, how you feel about it as an investment or as, a currency, how you feel about it as a currency. So I guess it depends on the people. We don't just take Dogecoin. I mean, all our sales have been 100% Doge up till now. And I've done a ton. So, but obviously I've offered Bitcoin. I've offered like probably 8 different coins, cryptopayments.net. They have probably over 200 coins listed, coins and tokens that I could take as a form of payment. But I've only done about 8 that I have listed right now, and it's all been Dogecoin.
Yeah, you make a great point. They're not exclusive. There can be more than one in the long term. But I want to throw it out to the chat. What do you guys think? Can you drop a response, drop a comment? Are you team Doge? Are you team something else? If you are, let us know what team you are on. And while you're down there, make sure to smash the like button so other people who are interested in this type of content can find it. Also, if you're interested in just crypto, Benzinga has a brand new crypto exclusive channel, which you can find the first link in the description. Make sure you go subscribe to that and then come right back. But yeah, so we'll wait for the chat to give us some responses. We'll see what team they're on. They
could check out for information too online. I mean, obviously, you can go to the Dogecoin website, dogecoin.com, and it's got the information. It's got transaction times, all that. The developers also have their own Twitter page, so you can go there and see what they're working on. You get to the GitHub and see obviously the latest version, which is the 1.14.4. So you can see everything that's being worked on. So you can. That's what I'm saying. Like, these people come out that are like experts and are like, yeah, doesn't have this. I'm like, did you even bother looking? Like, did you look at the information? It's there, so you could see it. So I don't know if they maybe don't believe it. Like, sometimes I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know, you do your work, so you know what Dogecoin has or what it doesn't have, or you know what I mean? Like, that's important. Look at something before you just say what you think is not a good choice, and you don't even look at all the information that's involved. So that's my issue, but that's most of the media. You guys have been good. Like I said, this has been a good back and forth too. So it's nice.
What do you think about you like Doge as do you like it for its utility? Do you like it how it's your payment, the way you want to accept payments? You want it to be widely used, but you're not really as concerned about the price? Or do you think that the more it gets used, the more the price will go up, and like you'd recommend either holding or just spreading, I guess, more correct information or more informed information about it? Like, what would you rather be really bullish and hit $1 one day? Or do you really mainly want, it to be widely used as a payment provider?
I don't see why hitting $1. I mean, hitting $1 would be great. I mean, that still would be, if it hits $5, if it hits $10, it can still be used for smaller purchases or even larger purchases. I don't think that matters. And I'm obviously still bullish on it as an investor and as a business. In the community, we have the saying, 1 Doge equals 1 Doge. And that's the way it's always been. It doesn't matter whether it's 20 cents or it's $1 or it's $100. 1 Doge is always equal 1 Doge. So basically, if I want to buy a shirt, I'm spending this amount of Doge for that shirt. Whatever happens after that, I've already gotten my shirt and I'm happy. I got to spend some Doge and, out of my Doge bag that I use for spending. And that's that. And that's why I always say, spend, hold. It depends on what you want to do. I try to do all of it. I hold some. I have probably like 4 different wallets plus my merchant wallet, which is held. Now, if I could use the Doge that I brought into the merchant wallet, which I'm attempting to do so, if I could use that to pay for inks for my magazine or my glossy paper or inks for printing we are in-house now for our shirts and stuff. If I could pay for that with that and use the Doge that I've brought into the merchant wallet, would be awesome, because then that would keep the Doge going. Like I said, it's 1 Doge equals 1 Doge. So then I could use that Doge without having to convert it to fiat. And then that person could use that Doge for something. And along the lines, it's like pay it forward, but with Doge.
Yeah.
I have to call it Doge it forward. I'm going to have to start a hashtag now.
I mean, pretty good one. Yeah, I see what you mean. I was really getting at because the way the supply works, the way the mechanisms of the actual, the code and the contract work, the price isn't really meant to go up in a sense. Like it wasn't built for that. It wasn't made for that. But it is being upgraded, and it's being a lot more upgraded than people do realize. And I 100% agree with that. And there's a huge community of developers that volunteer to push a lot of stuff, and they've increased the times and done a lot better things. My personal opinion is, I think you should have some in your portfolio, because you never know when it's going to rip off and go back up to 60 or go back down to 8 and then do it again. You never know. It's not going anywhere. I don't see it being very long term. I don't see it getting, above $1, $5, all that kind of stuff. but I do see it being widely spread in a very profitable coin if played right. And I think that's one of the messages I've been wanting to portray to other people, because I think on the show we've kind of not necessarily bashed Doge, but not really taken the time to kind of explain why we feel that way. And that's my opinion on it. I do like it. I hope it's widely used more. But
yeah, and you're saying obviously, as it climbs in price, and as you know, you're going to have paper hands. So as it climbs in price, people are going to sell it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with taking a profit. Again, hold, sell, use it for donations, do what you want with it. You know what I mean? Like, do what you want. Obviously, we can't all be like AMC and be like, hold strong. You know what I mean? Like, and I have AMC too. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to use it. It has to be used. You can also hold it. And as it climbs over time, I believe it will climb. You're saying it won't. I believe that you'll have corrections. So you have corrections, you have market corrections, you have people selling it. So it'll dip back down, it'll come back up. But eventually, like I said, I think it will have a steady climb as it goes. And like you said, they're constantly developing it. So there will be a way to adjust for that growth and still keep it to be able to be spent, as a currency for items. So I think the limits are endless for it. I think, obviously I'm a Dogecoin fan. So yeah, I may sound a little biased, but yeah, I'm saying I think that it's limitless. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can still be done with it. And, when it hit its popularity again, I think a lot of people got involved and were like, hey, we can do this with it. We could do this with it. We could do this. We can have, a Dojapalooza. We can have a Doge convention. We can have this. So it's starting to grow even more so than it did, originally when it started. And it had already grown quick at that point. So I think it's just starting all over again and people are really getting involved. And there's a lot of stuff going on, like so much stuff. Like, I'm looking at tons of stuff going on Twitter. Like, wow, there's so many people have ideas and things going on. So I think it's going to be really good. And it will eventually, I think it will climb. Whether it reaches 100, you did say earlier something about flipping Bitcoin. Well, if it can't get past $1, it's not going to flip Bitcoin. So, you know what I mean? Like, to take you up on that, obviously, if it was to flip or cross over Bitcoin, guys, it would have to grow in its amount. So I don't, whether it will happen or won't, I'm not saying whether it will or won't. Like, there's no saying. Crypto is a crazy animal, especially Doge. Doge will rise, Doge will go down, Doge will come back up, Doge will bark, Doge does what it wants. There's no holding the Doge, even with a leash. It's just gonna unleash itself and do what it wants, and that's that. So
yeah.
So speaking of leash, what do you think about Shiba Inu?
So that's awesome. Shiba Inu is, I get it. They want to have their own thing. And again, I'll run it back to OneCoin. What was OneCoin? OneCoin was the Bitcoin killer, and they were involved in some shady stuff. They were supposed to be doing charity work and all this stuff. And then, the lady took the money and ran. So I'm not saying Shiba's doing that, but I'm saying, they're calling themselves the Dogecoin killer. That's on their wolf paper, their white paper. So you're basically coming right out the gate saying you're going to kill Dogecoin, which obviously I do not see that happening. But, that's what they want to do. Their community is a completely different community. And are some crossed over? Yes. Are some Doge holders have Shiba? Some Doge holders have baby Doge. You guys heard baby Doge. So it's cute. Look at the little baby Doge. Is cute. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm a Doge holder, but I'm like, oh, baby Doge is so cute. And then you have other ones that are out, Safe Moon. You got all this stuff. So there's nothing wrong with holding different stuff. If you stay true to Doge and that's your community and you want to have some other stuff, that's great. Do what you can do to make money, because eventually you're just going to put your profits back into Doge, and that helps Dogecoin. So, but yeah, Shiba, it's a completely different community. I don't think it's set up the same way as the Dogecoin community. It's not fun. It's different. Right off the bat with the way you started a token, I should say, because it's not a coin. There's a difference. When you started that token the way you did, you kind of already set how you were going to be and how your community was going to be. And I think that's, that's something that they have to work through and explain.
So you said earlier you prefer Dogecoin as a payment solution, right? Over an investment?
Well, no, I mean, technically I do both. Technically, okay. I prefer it as a payment solution, and I also like it as an investment because, if it does go up one day and shoots up to $1 or $2, that's great. And you could take a little profit from it, but you can still hold, you can still have some that you're holding that you use for the currency part of it. That's why I say.
Right. So what percentage would you say you hold in Doge versus in other investments?
Doge, I hold the most. My percentage in Doge is probably 80-something%.
Okay.
I mean, with the stocks and everything. So if you include all my total investments,
Sure.
I am full in, and I was full in
Yeah.
even before that. You know, I had more Doge than I have now. I did take some of my initial out. I didn't touch any of the merchant payments, but my personal investment, I took a little bit out of what I had put in, just my initial investment, because that's smart. You take out your initial money that you put in and you let the rest ride. And that's how I've always done stocks. That's how I've done all my investments. So, but yeah, I mean, I've recouped most of it, especially now when it's dropping low. I bought. So I bought a ton of the dips yesterday and today. So I'll probably continue to buy the dips. I keep telling everybody buy the dips.
For sure. Awesome. Well, if you're buying the dip, make sure you drop us a comment and let us know. We are running out of time for today. So Jeff, is there anything that you want to tell the audience? Any shout outs you want to give? The floor is yours.
Obviously, shout out to Billy Marcus, co-creator of Dogecoin. Super cool dude, super humble. He's always with the community speaking. Coco Chanel, she's on. She has her own spaces. There's a ton of people. Lucas Bean. Also, I'm trying to remember everybody. There's just a ton. But Steven Steele, Nick Balls. There's a bunch of people on Twitter that represent Doge, and you can clearly see the community from those people, and you can see what's going on. And as far as we go with Poisonous Pinups, I'm going to be releasing a shirt. It's done by a guy named Outer Space Frisbee on Twitter, and it's basically it's like our shirt. Whoop, this way, because I know I'm opposite on the camera. So it's our we call her Poisonous Cherry, and basically it'll be her on the front, and she's got the little Shiba Inu, and he's got the little Dogecoin in his hand, and on the back it's pretty much set up like our shirts. Instead of saying Poisonous Pinups, it says Poisonous Pinups loves Doge. So we're going to have those up on the store soon. We're doing all our in-house merchandise, and like I said, we're going to have our new Fandables magazine out as well. So trying to really do a lot of stuff with that, and I'm going to be giving a percentage back to Billy because it is technically like licensing it. You know what I mean? Like it's still his baby. And so I think that's a good thing for everybody.
Awesome. So if you want to follow along with that, the link to the Poisonous Pinups website is in the description. The second link, you can go find them there or on Twitter. What's your handle?
Handle on Twitter is Poisonous Pinups. Awesome. The store is real easy to use. You can go on there and, like I said, we use Equid as our store through WordPress, and then we use CoinPayments.net as our crypto payment system. And it's quick, it's easy.
Awesome. Well, that's all for me today. You guys have anything you want to add, Brian or Ryan?
No, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
no problem,
man.
Thanks for coming. It was great. And thank you to the audience for watching today. We will see you Wednesday at 2 p.m. Have a good one.